the distance. In today's meditation, we're going to talk about one of the most underrated heroes of the faith, a man who had incredible longevity in his pursuit of God. And we're going to glean several important lessons from him. And the man I'm talking about is Caleb, son of Jephunneh. He's most famous for being one of the 12 spies Moses sent out to spy out the land of Canaan. So let's look at our passage. It's found in Joshua chapter 14, verses 6 through 9. Then the sons of Judah approached Joshua in Gilgal, and Caleb, the son of Jephunneh, the Kenizzite, said, "You know the word which the Lord spoke to Moses, the man of God, on account of you and me in Kadesh Barnea. I was 40 years old when Moses, the servant of the Lord, sent me from Kadesh Barnea to spy out the land, and I brought word back to him as it was in my heart. Nevertheless, my brothers who went up with me made the heart of the people melt with fear. But I followed the Lord my God fully." Another translation says wholeheartedly. So Moses swore on that day, saying, "The land on which your foot has walked shall certainly be an inheritance to you and to your children forever, because you have followed the Lord my God fully." Caleb went the distance with God. This was an amazing man, through ups and downs, good times and bad times. And it was all said and done, he received all that God had to him. So there's a lot of things we can learn from Caleb. So let's look at Caleb and let's lift 4 things from his life that will help us go the distance in our journey with God. Lesson 1, with God, there are no limitations. Caleb was the son of Jephunneh, and it says he was a Kenizzite. The Kenizzites were a clan that was outside of the nation of Israel, outside of the promises of God. But apparently his father had married a wife who was from the tribe of Judah. And so right off the bat, we get this first takeaway from Caleb's life. There is no limitation on how far we can go. It doesn't matter where we come from. It doesn't matter where we start. We're all of us on equal footing at the base of the cross. And there's no limitation to how far we can go with Jesus. So Caleb shows us that the limitations we and others put on us based on our background mean nothing to God. So your takeaway for this is take the limits off. Take the limits off of what God can do in your life. Lesson 2, be all in. Caleb's name means all heart. And that's significant because his actions throughout his life show that he lived up to his name. He was all heart and he did everything with zeal and gusto. Caleb was a man you would say was all in. He never did anything half-heartedly. And he was passionate about God and about following him. And so our second takeaway from the life of Caleb is that we need to be all in, passionate about Jesus every day. Lesson 3, ignore the naysayers. You may remember Caleb from the book of Numbers because he was one of the 12 spies that Moses sent to spy out the promised land from Kadesh Barnea. And you remember 10 of the 12 spies gave a bad report that literally caused the children of Israel to wander in the desert for 40 years. Caleb was among the 12 spies, but he was one of only 2 that brought back a positive report. Him and Joshua were full of faith, and they told the people that they were well able to possess the land. But the people listened to the naysayers instead of the believers. That's the third takeaway from Caleb. Don't listen to the naysayers. Zondervan explains, most of the spies brought back a pessimistic report. Their names are almost forgotten. But 2 heroes of faith, Caleb and Joshua, who encouraged the people to go up and take the land, are still remembered. And then finally, lesson 4. God is a rewarder. God was pleased with Caleb's steadfast loyalty, and so he rewarded him mightily. He was allowed to survive the years of wilderness wandering. Listen, only he and Joshua of the men of war survived, the only two survivors. And then he was given Hebron, the royal city, at the age of 85. He conquered Hebron too. He was still strong in spirit. So the fourth takeaway from Caleb's life, God is a rewarder. This is so important. People misunderstand God. God loves to reward his children, and he rewarded Caleb. God sees the choices you're making. Somebody needs to hear that. And every time you choose him over something else you could have, but is outside his will, guess what? You're blessing his heart. So keep going. And even if it feels like you're not seeing the benefit now, just know God is a rewarder. So, 4 takeaways from the life of a mighty man of God. And this week, let's put them into practice so we too can go the distance.